Windhorse. Daily practice. On demand. Rise. Ride. Remember who you are.
All right. Paresh Shah.
Hey.
Leadership expert, team builder, coach, speaker, TEDx, South by Southwest, this thing called Gamma Finesca, which I have no idea what it is, but there's 2,000. Someone listening, those listening who know it's a big deal. 2,000 business leaders at Finesca Gamma, and a technologist, a director of the non-obvious company, Harvard Business School. I mean, the list just feels like it goes on and on and on and on into infinity.
This is what we are.
Yeah. I invited you to be a guest on In the Naad today because you're such a prolific thinker and somebody who's bringing new innovations to both the corporate world of leadership, but also technology. And you're someone whose mind works in the most fascinating way. And I just thought I could only have an amazing conversation, something that would be really relevant and really, really pull back the layer for somebody listening in a way that it could change their world today.
We hope so.
Yes. I mean, that's what I want to do. I want to change somebody's world with every conversation.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah. Let's start here. When you're doing these, your newest company is called Lifter Leadership, and it's working inside of the corporate sector. Now, because I know you at first and foremost as a technologist and also as a spiritualist, you being inside the corporate sector is fascinating space because it's a place where you can actually make real shifts inside of people's daily culture. When you're going into these spaces, do you find it challenging? Do you find it easy? How do you really bring this kind of new consciousness into a space that seems a little bit stubborn for someone who's a real outsider and never held a corporate job?
You've never held a corporate job?
Well,
Wow.
no. Yeah.
You're missing something. Don't know whether you want to have it. But,
Yeah.
No, corporate. I spent a lot of time in corporations. Out of business school, I was at with one of the major management consulting firms. So I like corporate. Corporate is the playfield for the game of business.
Yeah.
For me, and I love the game of business. It's exciting to me because it's strategy. It's culture, it's building teams. Like you have to get people to do stuff. And so that's fun because it's a human thing at the end of the day. Can you take your vision, mission, strategy, and somehow translate that through thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people into, action for a hot dog vendor at a Disney park who has an irate customer? Like, how do you thread that through where that irate customer somehow becomes touched, moved, and inspired, maybe if we're successful by that encounter versus more aggravated. So I find it fun, and it's challenging, just given all of the stubbornness, stickiness, inertia within companies. But that's part of why I feel certain voices will be heard more in corporate.
Yeah.
And I feel that just given some of my background and credentials and things like that there's more of a receptivity to some of these higher principles around compassion, empathy, seeing people as whole humans and all of that, if I were just like a young yogi coming in going, I'm going to help you build a culture of transformation, that you may not have the credibility, although you may have the approach or the technology or the methodology to do that. And so I find it fun, and it's a tightrope walk. It's a thrill sport, actually. As I think about it, it's a thrill sport.
Oh.
It's a thrill sport. Yeah. It's a thrill sport.
Yes.
To go, how can I, like that guy who walked across the World Trade Center,
Yeah.
Philippe forgot his last name.
Yeah.
Like, what a thrill. What a
Yes.
thrill sport. So to me, this is my thrill sport, is how do I bring, 30, 35 years of business experience, knowledge, whatever, with another decade or two of spiritual immersion in some kind of a confluence where you don't get thrown out for being a kumbaya, unrealistic, whatever, and there's real action. So that to me is the thrill sport. If like, how far can I push being kind of like I would be in my yoga studio with corporate leaders?
Yeah.
And it's a thrill because there's always that, is this gonna work? Right. So that's is it hard or challenging? It's walking a tightrope, and it's fun. It's a thrill sport. It's like doing stand-up comedy. Like, you got to get out there and do it and see what happens.
Yeah. No, I see. I hear what you're saying. A major part of the game. So as an outsider, I've just always been an outsider. I can't change my stripes. But a major part of the game of culture, how materiality is moving on Earth, is played out in corporations, in these multinational conglomerate global spaces. And they're moving a lot of energy and they're moving a lot of resources. Yes. What are there corporations that you're watching particularly right now that you think they're doing something innovative, either in the world or culturally, or the leadership there's a kind of unique leadership going on?
You mentioned Gamma Fonseca, where we did a keynote and some training with 2,000 executives. These are financial services executives. These are presidents and very senior level people in wealth management firms, insurance and things like that. And there's been a tremendous shift and interest, which is really exciting. This is this is financial people, primarily men, in the audience, in the financial services sector, and there is a receptivity and an appetite, even in that sector. And so we've been doing a lot of work with other companies like Northwestern Mutual, State Farm, AA, AAA, and companies like that, where they are really starting to understand, how do we, motivate younger talent? Because the old rules don't work anymore.
Right.
You know what? I worked 3 jobs when I was your age, and I retire when I'm 60, and you work for me, so shut the fudge up and do what I tell you.
Right.
Done, over, ancient, no longer relevant.
Yeah.
So how do we replace that with something that's going to create performance, motivation, inspiration, and people actually giving a shit about their work? Yeah. And so they're willing to try anything. And a lot of the principles of lifter leadership, which are largely Aquarian principles translated for the money mind. That's what one of the gifts I've been able to offer as a translator is that.
Well, and I think that's huge, because I think for a long time that the idea for somebody who is vested in business, the idea of going spiritual is like, what are you talking about? Like, I mean, do any of you guys have jobs over there? Like, what are you guys doing over there? You're just humming away? You're just breathing, oming like we did before we started this interview?
And people in general, as you know, that's why you're doing all of this. Right. Consciousness is rising. It's happening. And more people, like if I were to give a talk, I will give breathing techniques in a keynote talk. 70 to 80% of the world right now is overwhelmed and stressed. And they're just firing on their cortisol and their adrenaline and all of that, because it's just one threat after another. It's the news or whatever. And so they're looking for relief. And so I'll do, hey, here's a breath technique to reset your fight or flight switch in your vagal nerve. Yeah. And I'll have 2,000 people doing it. Wow. And they'll be like, wow. Yeah. That stuff works. So you can kind of then, okay, hey, they leaned into that. Let's see if we can now talk about, attracting clients rather than targeting them or pursuing them or capturing them, which is very much a predator prey warrior Piscean type of model.
Right.
And it's like, hey, wouldn't it be easier for you, instead of hunting, targeting, capturing talent or customers, if you could magnetize them, attract them, and there you'll have a couple of voices, more than a couple, like, oh, law of attraction, Abraham Hicks, totally, right?
Yeah.
Shoot your rockets of desire, blah, blah, blah. And so you get a couple of voices, and then the others are like, okay, I'd like to magnetize and attract clients without working my ass off. Let me lean into it. So there is that permission. It's and it happens faster than I thought. I earlier tended to be more careful, and the audiences, or if I'm doing team training, or I'm working with an executive and I'm coaching them, they want more. They're like, hey, can you give me more of that?
Yeah.
And so that's cool that they're pulling this stuff out of me when I'm like,
they don't want the status quo anymore. They don't they don't want the beginner's they don't want the beginner's teaser. They need the full Monty.
Yes,
they want the full Monty.
They want it. And they've tried all this other stuff, and the old ways don't work.
That's the question I was going to ask you. Do you think that businesses that are built on these more predatory kind of Piscean concepts and ideas, psychic positions, do you think that they're going to go out, like they just can't survive in an Aquarian age economy?
I've thought about that.
Okay.
I think they will survive.
This is an interesting thing. Right.
What I feel and what I advise my clients, and I speak about sometimes, is I think what's happening is the world is splitting into two worlds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And one can no longer be in the middle and go, oh, we care about our people and people being diverse and having a culture, and yet not acting as they are espousing.
Right.
So what I feel is going to happen, and is somewhat happening already, is you can't be this ambiguous blob of hypocrisy and contradiction and misalignment. Yeah. So I feel you as leaders, and it can happen within a team or at the highest level.
That's very interesting.
You have to make a choice.
Yeah.
Am I going to be a lifter, is what we call it, being a lifter leader. Okay. Someone who lifts their teams, lifts their customers or clients, lifts their community. And therefore, according to research, Harvard Business Review, et cetera, you can make 10.5 times more money because you create a positive cycle of well-being. People are engaged. They're loyal. They care.
There are real numbers around that?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. There's real numbers. Conscious leadership works.
10.5 times more profit sounds real
HBR,
good.
Right?
There
so
we
that
go.
makes people perk up at the Indian dude who's, the whatever. Yeah. So it's like, wait a minute, I can make 10 times more money?
Yeah.
You create a virtuous cycle of your talent actually gives a shit.
Right.
They show up. They care. They bring their friends and go, hey, I work for this kick-ass company that sees me as a whole human and actually gives me a sense of purpose in what I'm doing. And then they take care of their customers who are like, wow, you guys actually...
That's a ricochet effect of promotion because someone's actually enthusiastic and happy to be there, as opposed to they own me.
A job.
Yeah, it's just a job. You doesn't expand beyond you clocking in and clocking out.
Exactly.
I had 2 questions, and now they're sort of popping out of my head a little bit. Okay, well, this was it. So I think something you said was interesting about, you didn't say it in these words, but kind of like integrity. That even if you are a piece of SHIT and you don't care about other people, as long as you're really clear on that.
It's two worlds, okay? It's like, don't be in the middle. It's not going to work.
Right.
It's like, hey, we're creating this culture that's a lifter culture where we have a sense of purpose, and we are leading from the heart as well as the head. Compassion, empathy, listening. Typically divine feminine expressions that we all have, as masculine, feminine energies. Yeah. So, so there's that one choice of the new world, what you want to call it, or just be explicit and say, you know what, you work for me, I'm paying you, shut the fudge up, and just that's it. I'm paying you, and do your freaking job, and I'm going to drive you hard. You might need to sleep at work. You work 80 hours. I'm going to send you an email telling you you're fired or whatever that other world is. Okay. Okay, and it's okay. That's okay too. It's a contract.
Yeah.
It's an agreement.
Totally.
Where people are like, you know what? I work for this asshole,
Right.
and it's all right. I
Right.
know it's an agreement
Right.
that I get paid, I get my benefits, I show up, I do my stuff, and I come home.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's that ambiguity and that hypocrisy
Yeah.
that has cracked open in the past 10 years or so.
Yeah.
So that your talent is like, am I working for this or
Right.
this?
Yeah.
And by the way, this is not going to disappear, as you asked. It's
Right,
not-
yeah.
For instance, there's great companies let's not use the word. There are 6 companies that generate a lot of revenue.
Yeah. High revenue
and
grossing
ha-
companies. Mhm.
Yep. Who operate this way.
Yeah.
And everyone knows that who
Right.
works there.
Yeah.
And what will allow them to sustain themselves? I've asked myself
Yeah.
in terms of the best talent. Why would the best talent stay there?
Right.
Because the best
Yeah.
talent is going to want to work here,
Right.
generally where they're valued as a human
Right.
being.
Yeah.
So what I feel the main impetus for people to stay is an incredible mission or purpose.
Okay.
And they're working with the best people in that. So you
Right.
think about going to Mars, you think about
Right.
energy, you think about some of these
Right.
companies that are doing this kick-ass stuff.
Right.
It's like, you know what? I'm working with the smartest people doing
Right.
something freaking amazing and impossible, and I'll put up with this aspect of how the company culture works
Well,
and the work
yeah.
ethic, et cetera.
And I don't want to get you in trouble, and I don't think this comment will, but that it just, this, I think one kid took it, this guy who was offered, what, 250 million?
The AI guy.
For Meta. Yes, exactly. It's
Yeah.
like he's going to Meta because he's got resources. It allows him to do his projects. He wants to work with this way. He is working amongst the tops,
top minds in the
top of the
world.
top pops. But there was another kid who they were trying to poach, and they gave him a crazy number. I think it was $1 billion. I think they offered him $1 billion. And he turned him down.
Good for him.
He's like, no way. He didn't. He has his own thing. I think he works for OpenAI. So he was like, don't need it. Don't need it because I already got the top minds over here.
Exactly.
And we got a great mission. Your $1 billion
paid enough
is
to have
not
a nice
exactly.
house.
Your $1 billion doesn't mean anything to me. So,
So there's a choice. So the individuals make choice, the talent's making choices,
Right.
and the companies are making choices.
Right.
And it's about integrity, as you
Just being
said.
very
Be
clear.
Like, this is how we run, okay?
Right.
We're going to run this like, it's the whatever factory to make money. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And that's okay.
There was also this guy, Omid Malik. Have you been following this guy? He's sort of he's just coming out on the scene. He partnered with Donald Trump Jr. He on this thing called Grab a Gun, and they went.
I gotta grab a glass of water.
grab a little In the Naad glass if you grab a gun. They went public. Their stock exchange, little
gun
letters.
company?
Yeah, it's called Pew, as in pew pew.
See, I mean, we're so. Oh my god.
Okay, but so they went public. You can buy the guns anyway. Omid, I'm just watching the guy, and it's fascinating because it's just sheer profits. He's just, and I don't know that he's people are saying he's a mercenary, he's opportunistic, he doesn't have any, he's not ethical, but I don't know if that's what he needs to. I don't know. I'm just watching the thing. Oh, this is what it was. He made a comment. He said that the ESG ethics, and I'm blanking on what those really stand for right now, but I had a conversation with a financial advisor. Yes, exactly. Say it again.
Environment, sustainability,
and governance. The ESG principles have tanked capitalism, the stock market. I'm just curious. I sit at a very nuanced space with all of this. My family is immigrants. half of them are real brown, half of them are just European brown, but the other half are straight up brown.
Am I real brown?
Not that matters, right? But you know, some of the sort of
Today's society does.
it doesn't. And some of the diversity and inclusion things did allow them to make real changes, make real karmic changes that have had lasting positive effects in my family, and to be, you know, my of multiple, like my uncle went to Harvard. I think he deserved to be there. But would he have, he's a Puerto Rican man. Would he have gotten there before some of this diversity, equity, inclusion things? But I'm curious from your perspective around, you know, people are saying all of this stuff is killing capitalism. All of this stuff is killing the American economy. And I'm curious if you have a perspective that's not going to get you in trouble.
It's a tightrope.
I know.
So one of the principles of lifter leadership, basically, we have 4 mind shifts we need to make to evolve into this new way from the old way. And it's kind of like the 4 agreements or the 7 habits. So it's show up, serve up, listen up, act up.
This
And
is
then
so
we have
great.
very specific practices and things that we do to have people experience it and go, oh, I can do that. So the first thing is you got to show up. Show up. And the expression we use is show up and ride your yes ands.
Awesome.
Because yes ands are where innovation comes from. And when we really honor each other's yes ands, magic can happen. And so, for instance, my yes ands, or I'll say your yes ands. You're a yogi, you're a mom, you're a podcaster, you're a spiritual healer, you're an entrepreneur, and yes and, yes and, yes and, yes and, yes and. And so so lifters see people as whole human beings rather than individual units of labor to maximize
that are then
return on
disposable
transactional
later.
Human resources. Our language is so imbued with transactional, predatory prey. I'll shoot you an email. Okay, we're like the language is like let's go hunt for customers.
Right.
Okay, let's go steal market share so we can have our share, like share of wallet. So what we're particularly the younger folks today, they want to be seen as a human being that has some contribution to make. So yes ands are how you make that happen. It's like, I am Paresh Shah. Yes, I'm a business professor and I am a surfer.
Right.
And I'm a heavy metal guitarist. Don't get me started talking about 80s rock or this podcast will never end. And I'm a dad and I'm a keynote and I'm a business coach.
Yeah.
And I bring my yes ands together and I serve up. It's in service. How do I bring my yes ands together into service? By listening and taking purposeful action. And so the yes ands in people are essential to capitalism for innovation. Okay, how many Indian dudes from Baltimore are surfers, Harvard MBAs, yogis, 80s metalheads, blah, 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 who have a perspective that can be packaged when I do my keynotes. I talk about surfing and heavy metal and business and blah, 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 in a unique way that makes a difference and can serve folks. And so the diversity, inclusion, equity, inclusion efforts, in a way, we're looking to tap into a different way of seeing the world. And having people with yes ands that aren't as familiar to that company or its products or services have a voice and a contribution where they're like, oh my God, never thought of it that way. Will capitalism die because of all of these programmatic efforts? Well, it can be overdone too. Okay. So
for sure.
One of the criticisms people have about the diversity, equity, inclusion efforts was there was a lot of money put behind it, and often people who weren't qualified
absolutely
were put in those positions. and what does
Because they fit
qualified mean?
some
What does
box.
qualified mean, right?
Well,
It doesn't right, it doesn't necessarily mean they have to have the same skills or whatever, but they need to have the potential to
Right.
be additive
Yes.
to the equation of whatever they're starting to create. And so I think
Yeah.
some people abused that, and that created a backlash around that. But ultimately, capitalism needs innovation,
Yeah.
and innovation comes from human beings who have yes ands, and they ride their yes ands,
Yeah.
and they support one another and go, dude, you're into whatever MAGA cartoons,
Yeah.
and you're into being a DJ.
Yeah.
And how do you bring that in to serve it?
I want to get into your work in the tech sector because
Absolutely. Thanks for acknowledging Glimpulse. So we
Yes.
shut that company down.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of ahead of its time.
yeah, it really was.
But it was super cool because we actually feel we found a way, like in the 3D world, you and I, Harmanjot, are right here, XYZ coordinates, GPS, where we are now,
Mm-hmm.
right? Physically. What we found, more than metaphorically,
Mm-hmm.
is the way that we created the ability to simply create these glimples, we called them,
Yeah.
these little pictographic text picture messages,
Mm-hmm.
was there was four kind of, it would flip four times. Like you'd have like a cover that would be like, gratitude or I love you
Yeah.
or amazing or whatever it might be, Satnam, whatever your
Yeah,
what
sure.
was going to be like the header. And then we would have a picture and some text, and then who it was from would be the four pieces. And what we found, it was super
Yeah.
cool, my wife kind of articulated this,
Yeah.
was the header, which was like a pre-created set of headers, with the other three pieces of the picture, the image, and then the person it was sent from, would actually triangulate on the energy and emotion and frequency of the moment.
Wow.
And you could unpack it later.
Yeah.
Return to that frequency.
Oh.
It
Wow.
was the XYZ and the ethereal space.
Yes.
Super cool, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so that we ended up shutting down for the time being. We'll see
Yeah.
where it happens. And the so I'm an Indian, so I could be a doctor or engineer.
Got it.
Were my choices.
Yeah.
And so I became an engineer.
Some
coming out of
options.
school.
Yeah, you got
My
two
dad was a
options.
doctor. So like, I don't want to do that. So I could be a doctor or an engineer. I'm just kidding. But I love solving things and building things. I used
Yeah.
to build go-karts with my friends in elementary school and race them down the hill and blow up and stuff. So I became an engineer, a mechanical aerospace engineer. I worked at Northrop Grumman, what a company that then was bought by Northrop Grumman, doing like really high-end defense stuff that was
Wow.
cool and
Top secret.
Secret. I didn't have
Okay.
top secret. I had secret.
Okay.
And it's so cool. Like one of the some of the greatest moments of my life. For instance, I was surfing the other day.
Yeah.
And I'm like out there on the ocean, and over us comes one of those 4-prop like vertical takeoff and landing, like, and we're like, yeah! And sometimes they circle around the surfers, and
Yeah.
so it's like 4 helicopter blades and all that. So such joy for me. Why? Because when I was an engineer out of business school, not out of business school, out of engineering school, before I went to business school, that was a secret idea that you could have a vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. Okay?
Wow.
And it was like this secret idea that you could have these things that go, you know what, I'm going to go up and then turn and zoop. And they killed a lot of aviators trying to make that technology work. The program was almost killed. It's called the Osprey program. Was almost killed a couple of times by in budget cuts. And here I am, a surfer going, yo, to this idea in consciousness 30 years ago that's now manifest as this cool ass thing.
Yeah.
One of my first projects, again, out of engineering school, was the head of the division said, hey, there's these things called unmanned aerial vehicles that DARPA is starting to explore for research and potential deployment in 10 or 20 or 30 years.
Yeah.
Can you give us a full report and recommendation as to whether our company should look into unmanned aerial vehicles, e.g. drones?
Wow.
Okay, so that was just an idea at the time. And now there's wars being fought with millions of drones, which isn't the best thing.
Right.
But so I'm a geek. I love tech.
Got it.
And so then I went to business school, and I was as a consultant. I worked for many tech companies, and in convergence, wireless and cable, and all this stuff was happening. Internet was happening. So I geeked out on all that. Many of my major clients, we did NPR's web strategy. AOL was my client when they went. So I was always like playing with the coolest stuff technologically, mobile, internet, media. Disney's a client, CBS is a client, and I just love, because they're always cutting edge with this stuff. So I geek out on tech.
Okay.
I love seeing how far I can push it.
Yeah.
And AI is amazing.
AI is amazing. All right.
So yeah, I'm a geek for tech. I'm not a programmer,
Right.
but I'm a geek for tech,
Yeah.
and I love to see how tech can enable the rising of consciousness.
Yes. Well, that was my follow-up question, which was then how did you start to feel that tech was the best place for you to create Glimpulse and now this new project, the ZoGG log, which I know it's not quite ready. People would have to sign up to be beta testers soon. But I mean, can we talk about the ZoGG log?
We can talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're close. We're close to launching the beta.
Okay.
Yeah. We can do that.
So the ZoGG log, how do we want to explain it? It's
so it starts with the ZoGG. Okay?
Right.
The ZoGG is independent of the app.
Okay. Right. You got to get in the ZoGG first.
You got to get in the ZoGG first.
Okay.
So a ZoGG, ZoGG, is a word that was created,
right,
whatever, by me or whatever, it came to me to represent these words that we use to describe phenomenon that are beyond our rational 3D analytic humanness, e.g. miracles, demonstrations, alignments, God winks, synchronicities. So we have all these different words as humans to acknowledge something's happening here that is out of the human 3D ordinary plane.
Yeah.
And we have these words, but many of these words are either they're encumbered, let's just say, by other cognitions. They may be tied to a particular religious tradition or spiritual tradition or something. And I had this download for a lot of, go, hey, why don't you just create a word that's basically represents all of it in a fun, cool way?
Right.
ZoGG.
Yeah.
Okay? ZoGG. It's hilarious. It's like tag, ZoGG. Yeah. And so I started.
ZoGG, you're it.
ZoGG, you're it. Totally. We're the Zoggosphere and it's Zoggalicious. Zoggy, baby.
We zogged.
So the fun that I love, joy, for me, joy is access to alignment. Joy, childlike joy, fun, mischief. I have a second book coming soon after my first one, and it's called, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Magical Rasculinity.
Magical
rasculinity.
What
being
is
a rascal, being a mischievous. I'm a mischievous little kid inside here to looks like this, and there's a joy to being like that kid with your friends. Like you and I have like this childlike connection, and we were dancing in the park the other day, and just like all this magic was happening. So, and there was a bit of a mischief in the middle of the night in that parking lot, with your husband. We're just like making noise and dancing.
Mischief making, absolutely.
So anyway, so that for me is one way of accessing my inner child, which was not encumbered by all these adult constructs. You can't do that. It's not magic. It's rational. How do you explain that? Yeah.
Do you think anybody gets an alignment from like being a doer, like scrum? Does anybody
scrum?
I don't know. This is just like scrummy. Like, does anybody really get?
Everyone can be scrummy. I can be scrummy.
Are you in alignment when you're scrummy?
Probably not.
I wouldn't.
You're low frequency. Yeah. You're probably
scrumming.
You're scrumming. You're scrumming bumming. You're bumming as a scrum, dude. Light your shit up.
No,
Light your frequency up. So, so the ZoGG was a word, and so I started using it in my teachings with my students in class. And with my clients.
Because you teach magic, movement, and meditation.
That's the name of my
mindfulness.
Magic. We call it. Yeah. Exactly. Movement, meditation, and magic.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which. It's yoga, whatever.
Yes.
To me, yoga is an excuse. Doing yoga is an excuse to actually go deep spiritually and have that conversation.
I 100% agree.
Right? You teach it.
100% agree. It's just an excuse to get in
and
alignment.
get the frequency to happen.
Yes, to get
and see what comes through.
Magic. Yes,
it's magic.
The magic is what you want.
The magic.
Who cares about the yoga? Yeah, yoga doesn't matter. We want the magic.
Exactly.
Give me the magic.
Yoga means union. If you can snap into union, screw the
forget
yoga.
it. Exactly. We'll be done with that shit. Yeah.
So ZoGG is a word that we started using. It's like, dude, I had a ZoGG, and so the word ZoGG started spreading.
Yeah.
I started meeting people like, you're the ZoGG guy. Dude, I've been having ZoGG since my friend Harmanjot told me about the word ZoGG. And so, again, consciousness, just like yellow Volkswagens, when you name it, there's a vocabulary and linguistic, and then you see it, then the word and the experience become the thing. Oh, I just ZoGG. That was a miracle. We just talked about it, and it happened. Then you start seeing it more and more and more and more and more, and it's hilarious because you and I have had that.
Oh,
and it
yeah.
just goes like this flywheel where you just have more and more and more ZoGG. So that was super fun, and we've been using it as an acknowledgement of the magic,
right?
Like, out of the matrix, whatever you want to call it. And everyone has their own word for ZoGG. What would you describe ZoGG in your Harmanjot wisdom? If you had a unique way of describing ZoGG.
It's like getting new gas in the tank. Each time a synchronicity happens and you're like, boom, great, I'm moving with that. It's like perpetual energy that comes from, it's right.
You know it's right.
You know it's right.
You know it's right is right, and we just felt it. We totally felt it. You know it's right when it's right because you get the download. And now, would that be a ZoGG? We could debate it. We could have the ZoGG squad do a vote on whether that's technically a ZoGG or not when a genius thing gets downloaded.
Right.
Some would say it's a ZoGG. Some would say, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's a ZoGG, okay?
Yeah.
Or it could be a ZoGG. Yeah. So when you start seeing the magic without it being encumbered by other language barriers, you just have more and more of them. So I was like, wow. And we have all these gratitude journals and things like that. The other company I had was also about gratitude and positive affirmative things. I kind of built it to basically reinvent the love note for my wife, right?
Oh my gosh! Well, the Glimpulse. Yes. I remember that.
I was like, I want to reinvent the love note for today's time. Yeah. So that was kind of like the genesis of it.
Yeah.
So, what I realized was like I have so many of them when I'm not. What'd you call it? Schlumpy?
Yeah, scrumming.
Scrumming. When I'm not scrumming.
We don't want no scrums.
Humming with the nod as the nod. By the way, the ZoGG is the nod.
Being in the nod.
The nod is the ZoGG.
I don't even know if people do people understand the nod?
Dude, your podcast is
I know.
You should maybe explain to your peeps what the nod is, okay? Sound current, baby.
Frequency.
What is the nod to you?
The universal frequency.
So this podcast is called
In the Nod, in the universal frequency.
Here we go.
Yeah.
So when we are in the nod,
we
experience ZoGGs. It's hilarious, right? It's fucking hilarious. That's and so it's joyful. It's not all serious, right? And that's what brings it out in people. Like, oh my God, like literally
we experience ZoGGs.
ZoGG, right? And so we are the ZoGG. We just forgot. So we acknowledge these moments called ZoGG moments or ZoGG experiences, but really we are the ZoGG.
Right.
We are the nod.
I am ZoGG.
I am ZoGGing. I am ZoGG. I am ZoGG from Alpha Centauri. Listen to the last podcast of Into the Nod. It's real. Okay. I went through the Stargate. This is fun. You see how the fun just increases the frequency. The frequency just goes up. So we do gratitude journals and affirmations, things like that as a spiritual practice. And I was like, well, what if we could remember everything's a miracle? Because we forget our freaking miracles.
Yes.
We forget the miracles.
Yes.
We forget them. Just like things to be grateful for. Oh, I remember.
Right.
I couldn't even use my arm last year. I was actually out for 6 months because my arm wouldn't work and I couldn't surf. I couldn't play guitar. I couldn't brush my teeth. Totally forgot about it.
Yeah.
I should be grateful that I can
Right.
do this. Yeah. Woo! Okay, so we forget. And I think that's our biggest weakness as humans.
Yeah.
From a spiritual practice, we can meditate 1 billion years, but we forget that life's a miracle.
Yeah.
We forget. Whoa, you see? ZoGG! That's what I'm saying. Whoa! Whoa! See? It's a miracle. It works that way. And so what I realized was I have a really great amount of magic in my life.
Yeah.
And I forget, and I'll get depressed and, whatever.
Right.
And so we have these ZoGGs. So I was like, you know what? Let's create a way to log the ZoGGs.
Yeah.
And so I talked to my developer, Brian, who's a genius developer. He thinks in really crazy ways in terms of like consciousness and sci-fi. And he'll have like the weirdest ideas.
Wow.
He'll be, I think we should do this. And my logical brain will be like, that makes no freaking sense. Why would you buy it? But instead I'm like, Brian, tell me more. What are you thinking? And then it'll be like some brilliant thing. Wow. So I described this idea. He's like, dude, I've been having ZoGGs all the time since we talked about ZoGG. I'm like, you've always had them. You're just now aware. It's all awareness, okay? It's everywhere, dude.
I'd like to bring you to ZoGG.
I'd like to welcome to the ZoGG. If any of your folks want to be beta testers, then we can give them a website. Great. And do that. So we will do that at the end of the thing.
I love it. It's really, if we could put it in a nutshell, it's the updated gratitude journal for the technologically
it's supersonic, quantum freaking steroid gratitude. Like, what could you be more grateful for than a freaking miracle?
Yes. And also just noticing that life is miraculous.
Life is a miracle.
All the time. Oh my God, Paresh.
Yeah, so and so we'd love to have some of your listeners who are, high frequency. They probably have ZoGGs. Hey, listeners, where's the camera? They're going to be ZoGG and baby. It's not my fault. Okay, don't blame me. When you are like peeing your pants because what happens is when you have a ZoGG, you just start having more, and then you get ZoGG in a ZoGG.
Oh yeah.
These nested ZoGGs where you're talking about something, and then something else related comes up and comes up and comes up, and it's hilarious.
You're gonna ZoGG so hard.
Be so zoggy. So it's super fun, and we'll get you a website that you can be a beta tester.
Zoggy snoggy.
You can be a beta. Don't be scrumpy. Be zoggy.
Don't be scrumpy.
Be zoggy.
Just be zoggy.
Yeah. So we're really excited about it, and we think it's earth shattering.
Paresh, I love you so much.
ZoGG, ZoGG.
I love you so much. I'm so glad you came in the Naad today. You're amazing, and
this is so fun.
this is the best thing ever.